scary though if you're Virtus Pro right now, because you're leaving this RMR with 0 points, so they're going to be stuck at 1600, and Entropic and Fours, who both have to play that fifth place decider, they're going to get more than 1500 points off of that result alone. So considering the fact that there's 5 teams from the CIS region that make it through to the major, obviously in different stages, but that looks kind of iffy for Virtus Pro, because they haven't been in great shape as of late, and they've showcased themselves to be, unpredictable and inconsistent. It seems like Kindar's having a bit of a rougher go of it once teams have gotten used to playing against him. We could be looking at a potential major without VP in it, which would be really weird considering how accustomed we've gotten to seeing them as the third CIS team to always be there.
Yeah, logic doesn't come into mind sometimes when it's on games like this. I'm going to bring us back into this veto discussion here, and I wanted to see, Duncan, if you thought, and I personally, I'd love to see this, but Na'Vi go in and take this Ancient pick, see if you can make that work for you.
I would like to see it, certainly. I mean, it's a map that Spirit's only played once. They lost it to Virtus Pro in overtime, so it's not one that they'd have any reason to be thinking yeah, we want to play it. And also, like I say, depending on who vetoes what, as long as Spirit aren't vetoing it, it's going to be there to pick. I actually think it's a map that if I'm Na'Vi actually has a pretty shallow map pool. It's basically just 2 nuke, and then maybe if they go ham, they can win like Mirage. I don't even know how legit their Inferno is really, because you just don't get them seen played very often. They tend to just play the main maps. It just tends to be that combo. So I would be more interested to see it as a Na'Vi pick, not least because against Spirit, you might not even have to worry. You want to test it so you can potentially pull out against Gambit when you play them once, maybe 2 times more in this exact tournament. You've always got to be thinking that if you are Na'Vi. Yeah,
keep it in the back of your minds for what can be happening later on, and get as much official practice on it as possible. I would say, though, when it comes to looking at what Spirit have right now, is their individuals are going to be feeling super confident on this, probably no matter where it goes, right? In terms of how these games have panned out against, like you just mentioned there, Duncan. But another thing is what happened to Na'Vi's overpass? I remember that being good for a little bit of time, and then it dropped off completely then.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's one of those cases where, Duncan mentioned, Na'Vi kind of just paints themselves into a corner with what maps they allow to go through in a best of 3 series, what what their own picks are going to be, and obviously, what they choose to ban out. And
interesting.
It's very rare that you see overpass left.
No one banned Vertigo, though. I'll give them credit. But yeah, Na'Vi banned
that's good,
themselves. By the way, it is just far and away the best map for Spirit. So the question here is they pick Mirage themselves. I don't hate that as a pick themselves. It's not, listen, they lose a lot. But the problem here is, what are we going to possibly get? Is it going to be Overpass? Maybe it's the Spirit pick? That would be the next logical one.
It could be, yeah, absolutely. Spirit are a team that's well versed on Overpass as well. And considering the fact that we haven't seen too many Na'Vi games on Overpass, sure, they might just feel confident enough to do so. And yeah, that's what they've gone with.
Right, now obviously someone has to ban Vertigo, so technically if you're Na'Vi, you can still force them to do it. I don't think there's any universe where they're going to let it come through, but they just have to go through the formality of doing the second bans in that sense. Because the thing is, Na'Vi actually second ban basically all over the place. They just do it by opponent, whereas actually Spirit at the moment, Ancient was their last 3 bans, so I feel like you can basically, it's already been banned out first. Let's see.
Spirit at this point, it on Na'Vi banning it.
Na'Vi surely bans Vertigo, right?
Yeah.
You'd hope so, right? Unless they have a pocket pick.
Out of nowhere.
It would be kind of wild to have a pocket pick as a third map in any case, but yeah. Normality restored, and Nuke is a decider. I
would like to see that played.
That.
I would like to see that match between these two.
I think the win rates on Nuke from Spirit's end are
they had a really
deceiving.
Close game with you, right?
Yeah, we beat them in Blast 16-14. But again, I think again the win rate is deceiving on that map. I think Spirit are absolutely a capable team, and I think there's a definite chance that they could actually beat a team like Na'Vi on Nuke as well.
I am still a little bit nervous on this Mirage one coming through, though. I don't know. I don't sit that confidently in remembering amazing games from Na'Vi here, Duncan, when it comes to Mirage.
No, I do feel like it's a really touch and go map for them. So to me, the idea they picked that, like, again, I think you could have messed around with the veto there. That would have been available as the third one as well. Like, you could have forced that. So I'm amazed, that it wasn't just the outright nuke pick. Like, that would be an obvious one to me, because as bizarre as it sounds, because they're not a great tactical team at the moment, the Na'Vi CT side can be amazing on that map, partly because Simple basically it's his playground now. I don't know how he's doing this as an individual player. It's supposed to be a team-based map, but yeah, on that particular map, just go and look at the stats. Like, I think he averages like 1.4 rating on the map or something. So he's kind of a bit godlike.
He has this uncanny ability to just run around, and take space everywhere. It doesn't matter where you'll go, wherever the site's being hit. Simple's just there, putting the big boom in your face wherever possible. But yeah, I'm nervous on the first pick, at least in that one, and just seeing Mirage come through. It will be nice to see what Na'Vi can do on this Overpass one overall. Do we think this is a fair veto, Ven? You say it comes 50-50 on this one, or is there a slight edge to anyone?
I think this makes it a pretty decent chance we could have 3 maps.
Yeah, I'd join in on the same boat, really. I think if you could call anyone a winner in that veto, I'd say Spirit. But that's mainly down to the discussion we just had, the fact that we don't necessarily see a clear-cut go-to map for Na'Vi. Maybe they felt comfortable about Mirage, seeing how their most recent result was a win versus Gambit, and they're kind of utilizing that momentum and the confidence from that going into this one.
Now, some pretty legit stats coming out from both of them. I think the big one we got to point out here from Spirit, though, is a 16-5 over Gambit. That is one that definitely you have to take note of, considering, like, we just look at for Na'Vi, they've always struggled against Gambit with this. It can be one time great, one time really bad.
Yes, and obviously, by the way, remember, if you've got a player like Chopper, this was one of the maps. You weren't supposed to play one of these maps against Vega Squadron. Like, these are the ones where you just get punched in the face, basically. So, like, I certainly think Na'Vi, as they always seem to do with the map veto, they always have to sort of open the door for the opponent to potentially steal their map pick. And that's why it feels dangerous in this series, because it's not as certain they'll get overpass if somehow they get rocked on the first one. So I feel as though, actually, if Na'Vi want to stay an upper bracket team, you've got to come out with a strong performance just on this opener.
Yeah, it can't be one of the typical Na'Vi slow starts for sure, because Spirit will take full advantage of that. And I feel this is just going to lend its way to the individuals of Spirit stepping up in a big way, right? And if Simple doesn't start off strong, that's another thing recently, is if you look at the games with Na'Vi, Simple himself has not started off that strong, right? He's almost like the team buys him time for him to come into it and actually be able to have some impact.
Yeah, no, it is a necessity, really. But I think the pistol win percentage is pretty telling in terms of what we can expect. It's Na'Vi, winning down in the 30s pistol rounds on Mirage, and up in the 70s, high near 80s for Spirit. So I think we can expect more of the same. I think one shining light for Na'Vi that might be good for them, even though they would have a slow start, is the fact that Dexter, the player, is really incremental for the Spirit side, doesn't necessarily tend to have good Mirage games. So it's going to be interesting to see, even though they build up a lot of a big bank on the Spirit side early on, it's not necessarily going to have that much of an impact as it may have with other teams.
Well, let's see how it does all unfold. We've got some question marks around this Mirage pick from Na'Vi, but it's time for us to get ourselves into the game and get back with Sadicus and Moses to guide us through all the madness that will ensue.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Great breakdown on the desk. Lots of time to talk about that one, since our first game was wrapped up 2-0 by Gambit. But now we've got the top of Group B, Spirit, who were remarkable, but did struggle at times. They weren't clean the whole way through. Jason going up against Na'Vi, who yesterday, despite not winning against Gambit, did look pretty solid and pretty impressive. Certainly Simple showed up to play in that series.
Yeah, he did. I mean, certainly the most remarkable thing about Spirit in this event so far throughout the group stage is that they didn't drop a single match, because they looked like they should have at least been upset once, maybe even twice throughout that group stage play. So the fact that they're able to make it through is undefeated is really nice. But now you don't get a chance anymore. You're in the playoffs here. We just kind of mentioned, even with Na'Vi known for being upset here and there, losing a map that they probably shouldn't, even for some slow starts here and there, and that whole conversation that is brought up every time Na'Vi's in the server, Spirit with those same issues. Like, this isn't a game that Spirit can come in if they want to take advantage of that and come out on top. They can't have any poor maps. They can't have any lackluster performances, and that's what really scares me, despite some of the obvious skill on this team.
Yeah, there's tons of skill on this team, no question about it. And certainly we've talked about the online era. I know Duncan touched on the fact that Nafny's not really played at any big lands. So until we get, excuse me as I smack my microphone, nice. Until we get that sample from him, we don't really know what to expect from Gambit entirely online, and obviously we also know that Na'Vi was decent on land before, so there's a lot to change, but the inconsistency is certainly true, and also the fact that, as Duncan touched on at the very start of the show, I feel like I'm not giving Vedetta any credit right now, but but Duncan did allude to the fact that there is this tendency in the CIS where, and we saw it this week too, that no matter what, number 1 in the world, number 2 in the world, VP number 6 in the world, these other teams in the region know how to play them and have a good sample against them and can certainly surprise them in these situations. So you're right, Na'Vi can't let their guard down going into this at all.
Yeah, I feel like it's a completely different game that I'm watching when I'm watching like 2 CIS teams play. Like, you know, Na'Vi versus Gambit, and Gambit, you know, versus a team like K23, or even throwing Virtus Pro in the mix. Like, it just feels like that's a different game than when you see like the Na'Vis and the Gambits against like some of the other European and North American opposition. So they certainly have their own kind of style in this region that they're all well versed in. It's pretty incredible actually to see how many teams from this are really in the top 20 from this RMR. So. Yep. That's fantastic. Once again, the desk touched on it as well, and I'll bring it up just because it was a talking point for us yesterday with Na'Vi, the veto process that we just went through. Not to like dive too deep on each map, but again, it's like I can't, you know, it's hard to tell sometimes because Na'Vi has a different level of competition. But yesterday picking Dust 2 with only a 56% win rate. Today picking Mirage when Spirit actually has a better win rate on it. So I mean, there are. It almost feels like Na'Vi, one of the other issues they have is just a map pool that doesn't seem to give them
I agree.
a great home map.
I agree with that. I think that's the fact of the matter is, and they touched on it as well on the analyst panel, is, you know, a map like Train that's disappeared.
Shortly, if you're just coming in for the Na'Vi match, if you're a gigantic Na'Vi fan and you missed the earlier matchup, Gambit did take on and defeat K23 2-0. Mirage was an interesting affair. So was Inferno. Probably a series that you could go back and watch real quick if you'd like to. But good showing from Gambit to make it onto the next map, or next stage of the playoffs.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And yeah, upper bracket finals. The reason that they do this double elim in the playoffs rather than a straight bracket is because for the RMR, we actually have to have a clear number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on to assign the correct amount of points. There has to be no discrepancy in who finishes where to make this the most fair system possible to get through to the major. And I think if we remember correctly, Jason, there's 5 spots available from CIS from the RMRs for the major, which is significant. And I think proper thing, as we've talked about as well. There's so many teams right now inside that top 20 position. We've got world number 1, we've got world number 2, and yeah, there's been majors in the past when they had Na'Vi, and that was about it. And Gambit obviously surprised us all in 2017. We've had teams like Quantum Bellator Fire show up at times, Vega Squadron, but we've never had that consistency from this region that we're seeing right now. So hopefully that can translate when we do get to the major.
Everyone already probably knows of. Mir is always super impressive for me. Magix has been a really cool revelation for this team as well.
Yep.
For some time now. So, I mean, he's always been fun to watch.
I think for me, the factor for them, whenever I've seen them play, in terms of being able to push them over the finish line, is Mir. I know Chopper can have impact, but Mir's the one that has to be very consistent for them throughout the course of the entire match for them to have a solid chance. And we did see them in one game this week, you and I. You may have seen them twice. I didn't catch day one, all of it, because obviously I was doing some other duties. But yeah,
I
Mir
did see
for
them
me
on day
is... Okay, well, I didn't. So there you go. You might know more than me, but Mir looked really good when we did see them, and that was a strong point for them.
Yeah, Chopper's the guy who can have like the impact when you need it. Mir's the guy who could like take over the game. So just 2 completely different kinds of impact between those 2 players. Yeah, and man, that first day, if we're gonna go all the way back to it, that was one of that was kind of the rocky start that made me really worried for Spirit throughout this RMR. Was that 5 overtime game against Entropic on Nuke. Now Entropic's actually come to be relatively surprising to look like they can actually do some damage here and there, which is really, really cool. But Spirit as well, I think outside of Dust 2, the gigantic questions when it comes to their map pool. Gigantic questions when it comes to being able to actually maintain and win matches that they should. They had a lot of close affairs this week that we thought they'd be able to breeze through.
Yep.
And good news, here we are. Freeze time is canceled, and we are going to go live into the Pistron. Countdown is underway right now. Team Spirit taking on Na'Vi for the StarLadder CIS RMR. And interestingly enough, Team Spirit, while maybe the underdogs in this matchup, have the number 1, the most RMR points of any team in the entire tournament.
Yes, and a lot of that has to do with the carryover from previous RMRs, which they were the benefit of. And yeah, winning their group. The seedings were done based on the previous RMR. That's why Gambit and Na'Vi both ended up in Group A. But we are underway in this matchup. And so far, Bomb heading over toward B is with Perfecto and Bit. In fact, it's going to take a left turn and go underground, swing back toward middle. Boomich at the top side. Be ready to try and battle, but it's Mir that's already worked his way up onto the catwalk, and he's not done there. He knows they're working out from underneath, but Dagster, despite getting one before that, realizes he's lost his teammate. As Mir goes down, we find ourselves 4 aside as Chopper sits back at CT. SDY's come over to play alongside him with the CZ75. Now, keep in mind, Boomich has played that gun a lot defensively this week, and he's lost his ammunition and not been able to actually fight late in the round, so he's got to be careful, SDY, not to fire too often as Simple finds 2 kills in the round. Magic does the same, and he's got the bomb in front of him, so that might be more significant, as it's Simple and Electronic that have to go aggressive on both positions to try and hold it off. SDY gets Simple with the CZ, and Electronic tries to isolate himself by scurrying in toward jungle. In fact, he might even go for the flank through CT. He's got the bomb on the way by, and he's got SDY, and now it's a race to B, and Magic's just going to put himself up off the new bench to get inside the window, and that will allow a bomb plant to go down for Electronic, but mean that he's quickly on the case on the retake, and he's got armor, no kit. He's got a 3rd shot. What a shot at that with the USP, and Team Spirit take the pistol.
Oh, that is way too close. Oh, that is so dangerous. What a big save from Magix. Sorry, I just started choking right at the end.
It's all right. You were Team Liquid's coach, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there we are. There it is. Ooh, that's a battle the whole way. I mean, from that CZ as well. I thought Simple was going to take over that round. The P250 up on the balcony as well. Like, those are sick angles to be able to protect and cover your teammates. Just too much pressure coming from catwalk, from middle up connector. They weren't ever able to get that bomb planted safely. So good job from Magix. That just a great double kill initially. 1-0 for Team Spirit.
So we have a good start, at least on the CT side. Bombs left intentionally back by the entrance to apartments by Na'Vi this time around, and we'll see if they can make anything of this as they look to play picks with Deagles, 5 of them. SDY with the MP9. Well, there's the bomb. There we go.
There we go.
Well, Dexter's going to get simple to start it off. SDY, I was going to say, was just holding with an MP9, but Chopper's doing the same as we see it. Nice little boost up inside of the B site. Electronic. Can't get anything done. I like the addition of that bench in middle, by the way, Jason, because it means you don't need the boost to see Catwalk. And you can also jump yourself into window now. It's a small detail, a small change on the map, but it's significant.
Yes, it is. It's created a new dynamic to middle, hasn't it? When you can self-jump into the window. 2-0, and the AKs are out for Na'Vi. We'll see what they bring into play. Dexter with the op out in the second round as well. Primed and ready to go. Smoke towards window. In mid already. Mir's gonna jump out, and oh, he's made the catwalk jump. He's there a little bit late, but he's got his gun out first. Oh, Boomich goes down as well. Didn't expect Mir to stick around for the fight. And I think Navi was trying to split towards the B bomb site very, very quick, and obviously that is just shut down with the single play from Mir.
Dexter looking for the aggression, and he'll catch Simple in retreat. Nothing found yet for Na'Vi. Vector goes back over to try and get bomb and fires back into the smoke. Needs to be careful not to take further damage from utility if they want any chance back into this round. Good shot. Finds Mir on catwalk. Electronic. That'll open things up a little bit. Perfecto's even spotted the flank. Does he go wide enough? Left eye versus MP9. And Electronic's left is 1-4. They've actually already started to isolate him and pinch with this gun. They want that AK gone. Careful not to give him too many one-on-ones. Dexter makes no mistake on the AWP. Yeah, not enough damage as well to the economy of Team Spirit to be really happy about that round. What a stop from Mir. That round was not lost, but I mean, what a huge advantage for Team Spirit right out of the gates. Mir shuts everything down. 3-0. Yeah, this play right here. First one on the Bit as he jumped up. Even dodging the flashbang. Bit wasn't ready for it. Boomich wasn't ready for him to be there, and Dexter adds one on top. Gives all the information of what kind of a play Spirit we're going up against. Pistols, Deagles, and a Tech 9 on Electronic. A little bit of utility for the Na'Vi offense. And it looks like, you know, at least 4 players going to work together to take control of mid. Electronic going to support. There's the flash, 2 from underpass, 2 from top mid. As they clear out all their angles. Mid control is theirs, but where do they go from here? Well, we'll see if they can find anything, because so far no one's even peeked against it, so that's a little bit frustrating from Na'Vi, putting so many players in mid to try and win out in exchange. Magix has gone very passive at B, in fact, starts to work toward the arches. Smoke Perfecto's position, now gone. Mir's still in window, and he's got the support now of Magic as well, so this could be very solid. Chopper would have to rotate around from Sandwich to support that, so they'd have a little bit more space, but they're going to make the noise running audible. Mir, he backs away and then comes out when his teammate takes the aggression, and they're sitting in the doorway. Magic gets all 3. Mir got taken down with a rather nice shot, but the play was perfect. The crossfire between them, and Electronic trying to get something done now with the Deagle. Finds himself in a 1-on-3 upgrade to the AK. And I don't know if Magic knows he's dropped down. Surely he has to consider it. Smoke fades. Still he gets the response, though, Electronic. But he has to be very careful, sitting in the same position, same angle, open to the catwalk. And the bomb is down in that position, so it's still an unlikely 1-on-2 with 16 seconds left. He either has to die now or save that AK-47, and I think he's going to go for the latter decision. Yeah, certainly it makes sense. One more nade as well on Chopper. Ooh, actually, he could find him at the end if he just chucks it randomly. I think that would be the spot I would throw it if I were him, but he elects not to. He goes for the M4 instead. That's a little wishful thinking. Obviously, it's easy for us to say, ooh, just throw it towards the van. Yeah, he's not Doji, okay? He's not that smart. He's not the big man. Well, Electronic saving the gun. He's got armor already built up. He's going to want to put some nades behind it, but Navi's going to have another buy around that as well. We are going to get a short tech pause coming in, as you can see on your screen. Not a whole lot of production yet out of this Na'Vi offense. 5 kills on Electronic, 3 on Simple, 1 on Perfecto. Look at the ADR on Boomich and Bit, though.
They haven't really gotten involved in any of the action in any significant way. Even though it's only 4 rounds in, that's a bit rough. Here we go, round number 5. Na'Vi trying to get rid of that goose egg in the scoreboard. Quick smoke to the mid window. Dexter is going to beat it. He's going to jump out as well towards Connector, preemptively smoking for a Molotov and eats a nade for his troubles. That's mid-control given to Na'Vi by a fast, aggressive stance and opening.
Yeah, and I think Dexter got fortunate that Mir was able to get a flash out in middle to support him getting in Connector because he was spotted. But Bit was blind and couldn't get the response. SDY all the way through Connector is able to get the opening kill in the round, and it is going to be Boomich that goes down. As Team Spirit 4-0 up, and now in the second gun round have a 1-0 lead again.
You can see kind of why Boomich hasn't had a whole lot of ADR, things like that. Spammed through smoke from Ticket Booth. That's a brutal way to lose your life, and it's such an important round as well when Na'Vi hasn't been able to get started in this game. So, Connector hit is what they call electronics at A ramp, and they're going to try and bring these two pieces together.
Dexter with another. First in this round as he falls off of the AWP. And again, Na'Vi just not finding openings. Chopper's going to take down Electronic. Perfecto getting only one. Dexter was the one he found, but again, he got the contribution and the impact already on the AWP. They'll recover that and carry it over once more on the CT side. No kills yet for Boomich. No kills yet for Bit.
This is brutal. A brutal start. Only one player goes down for Spirit in that previous round. They're looking solid so far in the early stages. All right, this time with a half-buy, Tech9's, Deagles lining up towards the A bomb site. So it's full set piece. We're going to try and use these pistols to move quickly to swarm into the bomb site and get past any of the defenses in. Chopper's going to back away, played a little bit passively. Dexter's here with the AWP, so they know it's a half-buy. They're content to allow Na'Vi to get the plant if that's what they need. They're going to try and get 1 or 2 kills on the entrance, but okay with playing retake.
Well, finally, we're going to see some straightforward aggression from Na'Vi as they just march in toward Tetris. Smoke's still down. They get an angle on Chopper that puts him at 24 HP, and he will have to be very careful and very timid about re-peeking in that situation. SDY the same can be said. He definitely spotted the peek from Simple, who's now going to try and rush it over with the bomb, but he gets caught out. SDY makes no mistake of getting the headshot on the end. Pretty straightforward round, I think, at this point in time. As Chopper closes out the final kill, and only one going the way of Na'Vi. 6-0? I don't know how I feel about this, Jason. Not at all what Na'Vi needs to start.
You can't feel good, and it's just an extension of the conversation they had at the desk that we touched on briefly before the game began. Is you know, the map pool for Na'Vi, they don't seem to be necessarily comfortable with like the map pool that they're stepping into. This map they've selected is a solid map for Spirit as well. So walking a dangerous road at the moment, and in the early stages, they're paying for it. Mid-control entirely for Team Spirit. A lot of smokes laid down there, but again, Dexter and Window, SDY, and Connector have all the information needed. Dexter, the smoke even clears, and he's ready to take an angle towards the right of the top mid boxes. Now, he doesn't have a smoke if they aren't a Molotov into this position, but oh, he's going to find Electronic, and now they can back away. He's got to run. He's got to get out. He burns for his trouble. They're happy with the kill in a 5-on-4. Oh, make that 5-on-3.
Yeah, absolutely. Dexter nades Bit to death. And Boomich will at least get in and find one, but immediately traded by Mir, who is inside of the ladder room. He's been playing that position quite a few occasions. That's Boomich's first kill as he gets off 007. It's still yet to find the scoreboard as Simple gets inside of the site. Chance to try and clutch this back. Simple knows he needs to take this game into his own hands at this point in time because so far, Na'Vi cannot get the openings in Team Spirit's defense. Looking very resilient. As the Molotov puts Perfecto back inside, and Simple's accuracy just not quite there. Perfecto for 2. But that's not enough, because there's still 2 more alive, and Team Spirit get round 7.
And Navi's not going to be happy enough at this point with economic damage. This is still just not looking good. Hey, Bitwatch isn't going well. As we've highlighted a couple of times. Still not going well from where I was at just 3 rounds ago. 0 kills. And Team Spirit's defense is just looks solid right now.
And Dexter's AWP as well. I mean, we didn't really touch on him. We talked about Chopper and Mir, but man, oh man, he's on 10 kills, 7 rounds in, and with an op, that's a good start because obviously it takes a few rounds just to get that weapon out. We're going to take a look at him again coming out of spawn. He'll hold at CT as Bit tries to line himself up, head down to cross, but Incendiary will push him back. The op beside him in the hands of Simple will try and open up inside of the site as well. I mean, not to take anything away from Spirit either. Yeah, we're talking, you know, this is world number 2, Na'Vi. We're talking about how they're not getting it done, and that's certainly one way to look at it, but Spirit's playing so efficient. Very, very safe. Although that time for Chopper, even though he wants the wide angle, a flashbang was all it took from Simple to catch him out. And that came from over top of A main, so perhaps an oversight in that position. Can't look away from those ones fast enough as he doesn't see them. It just barely gets forward. Remember, crosshair distance to where the flash detonates determines how blind he becomes, so the position might need to be evaluated as he never saw it, but went fully blind. Perfecto gets SD wide. Now Na'Vi have something to work with as Dagster wants to pull back in with the AWP. Doesn't quite get to the sandwich gap in time, but he'll Molotov that off instead to make sure that they can't stay put inside of it. Bit's not going to. He's already on the move, and Simple has the CT op on the ground as it's just Mir and Na'Vi finally hit the scoreboard at 7-1.
I'm surprised that kill was like a go signal for Spirit to really try and retake that bomb site already before the bomb was planted. A lot of players go down. A very costly loss for Spirit as Mir just tries to back away to save this AK-47. He should be all right. I don't believe they're going to try and hunt him down. The money for Na'Vi is equally garbage, or is very garbage.
Well,
a good round from Na'Vi. Yeah,
super good round. I mean, getting in the site, getting the bomb down quickly. They found that entry kill by single use of a flashbang. Chopper gets caught off. But I was going to say, yeah, one player just on this side of the map at B, an underpass, in fact, for Perfecto. But at this point, Mir, you're right. They're not going to hunting this. It's not worth it on their side. And there's still so much money for the CTs. 10K.
It's going to get chewed into.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to get chewed into pretty hardcore after this buy right here. Like, surprisingly, like, that money's going to disappear pretty quick. They got a cushion of another buy after this if they were to lose. Mir saving obviously helped that, but yeah, they lost a lot last round. In that loss to Na'Vi, 7-1, but Navi's on the board at the very least. So something to be happy about for the Na'Vi side, the Na'Vi offense. And again, you're going to head back, very similar style strategy. A lot of bodies over towards Palace, perhaps just one pop flash. Bits holding on to it, and here we go.
Back off of it, catches out the Chopper reverse firebox, who was completely blinded. You could see it in the animation. And Dexter back toward window, wants to retake middle. His teammates already pushed up on catwalk as well. In fact, Mir's going to go all the way around this. They have an open A site. Mir's going to try and beat them back that direction. Boomich, good kill to catch out SDY in the underpass. Now Magic has to consider the fact that this could still be going back over toward B, but he'll realize now it's absolutely not. Bomb's already planted. He's just there to keep himself alive, and Boomich goes down at the hands of his Augs. So, and with that, Na'Vi are able to turn this around. And you're right, the money does get eaten into. There will be enough for a buy if they save Hero. Does he see it? Yeah, he does. Absolutely. Just fire at it. And good enough for the kill. Bit will fall. Quite literally, he's just going to slide down the ramp.
Yeah. His legs give out and he just tumbles.
Happens to the worst of us.
Oh, back-to-back rounds won by Na'Vi. Basically right off of the same tactic. This time the opening kill. Back towards Ticket. Or, excuse me, inside of the bomb site. 7-2. That's a pretty simple tactic to get it off of as well. And they just found a clean round for it that time. That kill goes down. Everyone else is locked out of the bomb site. They have to posture for a retake, and it's just too much to ask. So Spirit have lost a few to some nice, simple strats. Mir's gonna make, no, he's not gonna make the jump. He's gonna have to drop an underpass. He's gonna have to improvise.
Yeah,
Mid control, at least top mid goes to Na'Vi.
Smoke never came down in window, and I think that was his own Molotov, was it not, that he put there to try and keep the gap? Yeah, so he could make that jump, but it may have cost him actually in some of the damage dealt. And yeah, you're right, he doesn't make the jump, but interestingly enough, he's still in a relative position because, or a relevant position, I should say, because he's gone underpass, and there is 2 holding outside of stairs at B right now. Does he peek it? I think he's gonna go with this. He is, and absolutely destroys Pit. Bomb's down on the stairs. So he'll put fire on it for now, buy them a bit more time, but he can't really sustainably hold that position without control of middle, and therefore the bomb will be recovered, but this just makes things awkward for Na'Vi.
Well, it might, I mean, look, there's this push in upper B. If Mir goes back and actually fights at stairs as well, this could be really cool. Double peek after the upshot. They tried to bait Magic's in, but Simple was prepared. And Dexter's going to stay far back. Mir knows he's going to live or die by these plays in the underpass at the moment. And it's death as Perfecto finds him. They get the bomb and they back away. Now all of Team Spirit is congregated towards the middle part of the map, towards the B side of the map as well. And Navi's relocating all the way around as Electronic is slowly creeping in and slowly clearing corners. And he's telling his teammates it's clear.
So Chopper working his way back in toward Connector. Dexter's on his rotation as well as he'll get towards CT. Very passive CT position because he doesn't know how forward. Na'Vi is gone. Chopper gets Boomich. That's bomb. 8 seconds. They have to run to this. They didn't get the plant because he killed the planter, and that's exactly what SDY is going to do. 3 seconds, the round done on that alone as they have to kill Dexter, and he's behind the garbage. They had no idea they will get him after the time, but Spirit take the round.
Yeah, they do. They take it in a big way. That's a Na'Vi loss if I've ever seen it. Painful, and Dexter does go down with the AWP, but he's got plenty of money to buy another one in this round. 8-2. And Team Spirit just pulled the rug out from beneath Na'Vi. That's brutal. I believe we're getting a tactical timeout. Tactical pause from Na'Vi.
Yeah, let's talk that one over, boys. Yeah, Electronic does what he can inside, but it doesn't matter if you can't protect the planters. So Na'Vi 8-2 down, and already they're going to be staring down another eco if they can't win this round. Although they have the benefit of the lost bonus still being on 3 rounds now, so Bomb Plant would potentially spare them of that disaster, but they'll buy into this. Simple still has 6150. He's done well to hold on to his AWP and actually keep some economy, but again, Boomich, Bit, we mentioned it. They only have 3 kills combined still at this point in the game, 11 rounds in.
All right. Quiet. Nothing crazy on the openings. Smokes in mid aren't being utilized by either side. Na'Vi keep going back to this play, this simple pop flash play to get some action at A because it's got them a ton of entries. This time it goes the way of Chopper, but 15 health. Oh, he didn't want to peek with that. It might have been perfect. Bit is so blind from that flashbang, but it's just not taken advantage of. The follow-up is, though, that's another kill for Chopper.
Na'Vi down 2 already. Very little position to work with. Simple checking back in toward Palace exit as well to make sure no one's come around. He'll hold A cave. Perfecto does have a decent position toward Connector. I think he's actually just going to try and utilize bench to make sure Cat is cleared so he can start pushing that direction. Molotov to make sure of it as well, and Boomich inside of ladder. They're going to send 2 toward window, and that's the benefit of this new bench. Formerly, that could only be 1. Oh, SDY. They didn't see him. And he's spotted Boomich out, so he's not only spotted him, he's been very patient to catch the kill as well, and Dagster was already rotating back towards CT as we saw. Chopper has elected to go aggressive and try and get into T-spawn. Dropping down, though. Simple's ready for it. He hears him, but he doesn't have time to run it to B, so he still has to fight forward, if at all. And I think they're going to save this with 13 seconds left. Simple has the bomb, and he's heading toward Palace.
This is out of the timeout as well. This is not looking good for Na'Vi. Their offense is not working at the moment. First, the timeout round. And now this one that just slipped away. Didn't look like, I mean, Simple couldn't even fight for it at the end. This is rough. Team Spirit looking good, and they're on point right now. This is the best we've seen them look all event.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that they won Group B, but it wasn't exactly clean. This is looking pretty solid if you ask me.
That's what's weird about it, is that we spent all that time talking about how they looked lackluster. They didn't look, you know, as play like they were playing as well as we know they could. And then they come in here and they're just battering Na'Vi right out of the gates. So an unfortunate time if you're Na'Vi to me to get a Spirit that's playing very, very well together. 10 kills on Magix, 10 kills on Dexter with that ADVP. Even Mir and Chopper. Actually, everyone's right up there. Everyone's in 3 frags of each other.
Yeah.
And it's still, you know, Bitwatch isn't going to be winning any awards anytime soon. 1 and 10 on Bit, 2 and 11 on Boomich right now.
So 2 AK-47s, Tech 9s, and the AWP of Simple. Galil's picked up by Perfecto just at the end of the buy, so that'll have at least one more rifle, but they're going to drop bomb in the apartments again, and Bit's going very quickly, trying to get positioned toward the kitchen, already with a smoke inside of the site. Double nade! He's tagged down to 21. Yikes. It's not exactly the way he would have started off the round by trying to be that aggressive. The pick was what he was after. He and Perfecto now head downstairs to wrap in the underpass and help Boomich take middle, but again, a passive mid from Team Spirit. We're either seeing them go all in, and we've seen them jump out the window a number of times, or they're just letting it be and kind of containing Na'Vi.
Well, if you're Na'Vi, I guess this makes sense, though. Like, these are where you got your 2 round wins were off entrances and kills that you found coming out of Palace at the A bomb site. So why not go for it again? Smoke thrown towards jungle is going to start pulling SDY in this direction. Bit has the bomb towards the end of underpass, pretty centralized. He could go anywhere. This is going to be a split towards the B bomb site, but Bit's got to be real careful with that bomb. He could also turn it into a fake.
Chopper gets the first onto Electronic. Again, the opening kill going the way of Team Spirit. They'll try and get through window once more. They know that Chopper's gone toward the A cave, but Dexter's there to cover should they wrap around too quickly. Unless they go low, Boomich is able to get underneath at this point. Bomb low. That incendiary should take down the planter, but not before the plant occurs. And Dexter actually gets him through the box for good measure, as well as adding one onto Boomich. It's all on Perfecto. Bomb is planted for him, however. Be sure to check connector. Mir gets the shot straight up. Didn't even need him to peek wide and walk into the AWP. And now it's 9-2. Spirit are one step ahead.
Yeah, Chopper played that round so well. The only thing he screwed up on is missing the planter right at the end at low HP. He missed all of his shots there, which could have just ended the round right out of the gates. Na'Vi slow playing that round, but I don't think they necessarily wanted to. I think they gained so much map control, and for whatever, I think they were so confused because they hadn't actually encountered the defense. They're like so deep into the site, and they still haven't had to fight for anything, and they're just so confused of where the battle's going to come from. Spirit is solid, and they are off to the races. 10-2, Perfecto gonna pick it up and get shut down by Dexter.
So shut down by Dexter to start it off. Again, how many rounds is that now they've had the opening pick? Pretty much all of them, I would have to say, except for one gun round that I can think of that Na'Vi actually did win it by going up to a 5-on-3 situation. Overpass, our next map. Picked by Spirit, so we'll hope Na'Vi still has some of their old overpass left in them. And the nuke to decide it. Didn't even get that far. The Simple takes out Dexter. Now they're starting to pull the round back, having Chopper down as well. It's the man advantage with 57 seconds. Bit, he'll get magic. Only a second kill in the game for Bit, but this one may just be enough to secure the round entirely, as Mir and SDY have to sit back on this. Bomb's planted on A, and they're not going to challenge. The money has dwindled down, Jason, as you say. Despite that they're not winning these rounds, they're at least starting to get some kills on the board.
Yeah, but they need to take these away if they want that. The problem is they don't have the economy themselves to go for a hunt, so there's going to be another buy in the next round, and it'll be still strong. Dexter's going to have an AWP. They'll have enough rifles on the board to be deadly. That round's pretty cool. Spirit's actually just like maybe a hair's breadth away from winning that. Chopper misses a shot on Electronic, a headshot angle, but that smoke that Simple and Electronic threw onto the Palace balcony has a little gap in it that allows Simple to peek into the bomb site. Clean out that defense. So a third round for Na'Vi. Again, stemming from presence and pressure out of Palace. This bad boy right there.
Yeah, that's pretty nutty. Just enough. Whoop. Just a shadow to shoot at, a silhouette.
I was in Dexter's POV and Go TV, and I could not see Simple.
Yeah, textures one way or the other. I mean, look, it's part of the game, and it's going to happen, and players certainly found ways to exploit it and use it and be a little more aware of it, but sometimes it's a bit unfortunate that it's difficult to see one way and not the other. So the timeout this time, we'll see. Okay, we're getting a not ready call from Team Spirit, so this one looks to be technical.
Technical pause.
So it should be fixed relatively shortly, we're being told by admins and production, so we'll get back into it soon, but this might be another chance to catch the breath for Na'Vi as they need to get 10-5, in my opinion. The way they're playing, I don't know, the way Team Spirit's playing as well. I see no reason for them to slow down on the T side.
Right. And well, I mean, it's just the idea that you wouldn't leave yourself any room for error if you're Na'Vi switching over to the other side. So, yeah, things could get a little bit weird from here on out. They've had some opportunities to catch their breath as well. I think they've used 2 of their 4 timeouts,
yes.
Their pauses, to talk things over and try and figure out what they're encountering. And it still is a pretty one-dimensional solution so far. Palace seems to be the name of the game for Na'Vi to put a round on the board. 2 pot flash attacks from Palace, and obviously that slow creeping one from Simple Electronic in the previous round that netted them 2 kills at the A bomb site. Those are the 3 wins they have. Everywhere else, Team Spirits shut them down, whether it's mid, whether it's at the B bomb site, whether they're playing retake at A. I think that's work is that those plays out Palace. We'll see if they can find another solution, or if they even need to, if they have to. I think the nice thing for Na'Vi is they have enough money in the bank that these last 2 rounds of the half are both full buys. They can, they have the entirety of the playbook available to them to get to 5 if they want it.
That's absolutely true. We know they have the skill, they have the playbook, they have the expertise. They have it all, Jason. Really, they do. Makes you damn envious, doesn't it? Well, not of this scoreline, that's for sure. B looks to be the hits. Electronic and Perfecto are going to start the charge, and Magic's already forced back inside of the site. Does spot one player crossing in the form of Electronic, and actually wins out that duel by way of a flash assist from Perfecto. He's doubled up as well. The MP9 doing massive work before Simple could finally get in a position to take him down, and it's all on to Dexter. And a 1-on-3 is Bit found a kill off-site. Back over toward A, and Dexter trying to keep this AWP alive. Hits a pretty snappy little shot. Gets Bit out of the round through the murder hole, but at this point isn't considering a victory in this round itself. Just trying to keep that op up. And in play for the next one.
Yeah, a good hit from Na'Vi. Switching it up back to the B bomb site. This time, finally, they found success there. The defense looked a little confused. Magic's and Mir, I think Mir especially looked uncomfortable with where he's supposed to be looking and what his responsibility was during that hit. Him and Magic seemed to kind of mix it up, and Mir just lost to no man's land, gets picked off for free. He had the AK-47 as well. He was kind of the power point of that defense. Magic's did what he could with that SMG, but it wasn't enough. So 10-4, and yeah, you said Na'Vi need to get to 5. They're going to have a great chance. It's the AWP. It's a FAMAS dropped over. SDY is probably going to drop down to a FAMAS or an SMG. It's not a pretty investment from Team Spirit on this last round. We'll see what they've got. They've played a good defense. I mean, there's no reason why they can't just steal this one away with how they've been playing.
Oh, Bit's going to work the underpass this time. Perfecto contact B with Electronic and Simple on bomb behind. They seem to be comfortable on this side of the map, given the success in the last round. Mir, once again, though, is playing in that ladder position, which does mean he has a quick rotation back toward Catwalk. but he also gets a good amount of control and read toward what's going on in middle, so might start considering this possibility. Boomich is going to head that direction as well, so could get caught out by it if he's not careful. Hear them. Molotov goes high. Stays on top of the ladder. That gives him the position as Boomich gets the kill, but Magic comes flying back around the corner and makes sure that he makes up for it by getting the kill in response, and it's now down to 4-on-4. Bomb, however, has still, as both players were out on catwalk, gone into the B. They know the site is wide open, and Dexter, way over at A, tries to peer through and catch anyone straggling back toward catwalk, and he needs to not hold that angle as much as, yes, there is a player in the form of Bit working that direction. He needs to get to the site. He needs to help his teammates get back in. It's round 15. There's no saving. We've got to go straight for the defuse, and it's Electronic at bench that will cover off and play with Perfecto. But Bit's on the flank. Bit's on the flank, and he's made the play. The Bit watch is on, as now Magic, though, has turned it around. How does he find 3 in the site? Nearly gets all 4, but Bit gets the shot in return. This gives Chopper a very slim chance as he works inside. Time ticking, no kit to work with, and Bit has everyone down at his hands, and a brilliant end of the half from him.
That might be the redemption arc in the first half. A really rough first half for Bit. 4 kills in the final round. He's at 3 before it began. But the fact that he wins a round for his team to get to 5, that could be everything. If they mount a comeback based off that, you got to give props to a guy for having that level of impact. What a great lurk.
Magic as well, though. You got to give him credit inside of the site. Holy moly, that was some fast shots to make that even possible. I thought it was done the second the flank came in.
Yeah, well, I didn't think he was going to have any impact. They knew he was there, right? He got that kill traded in ladder room, and it seemed like Na'Vi was really zoned into it, but they just got thrown off. Good shooting, you're right, for Magic's. Boomich is going to play a ticket booth. Electronic and Simple and window and connector. Controlling middle for the moment. So will be retake on A. Perfecto has 2 flashbangs and a kit. There's no smoke to put on the bomb. And Boomich now has the information his team needs. Simple has turned to look in this direction as well. Smoke off at top con, and the spam is not connecting as Spirit. They attack towards jungle. They attack towards ladder room, but they get stopped. They get stopped cold right here.
Electronic's going to try and get them forward. Try and get them out of this situation as they wrap around from jungle, and there's nowhere to go for the CTs. Bomb's already ticking on the site, and that's a problem. Or is it? Electronic electrifyingly works his way back in with the USP, but it's Magic again who's trying to pick up where he left off in the last round. 2 already with that P250 before Perfecto says enough is enough, and Na'Vi will get the pistol round to make it 10-6 and take the early momentum. That's both pistols for Na'Vi. This one definitely has to be converted, Jason.
Yeah, they need it in a big way. This is like their avenue. This has got to feel, if you're a Na'Vi player, this is like, okay, if we can win this one, the comeback kind of it rolls out. We've closed the gap. We're close enough. We're within striking distance. It's a great pistol round from Na'Vi. Good protocol on just backing away as soon as they attack towards jungle. Perfect flashbang from Perfecto. Sorry about that. Through the murder hole to be able to allow them to have that retake. Good shooting as well. 6-10, just 4 rounds back. Simple and Boomich over at the A bomb site are about to get some action. Mir's going to lurk in mid, but it's a 2-2 attack on A from Palace and ramp.
Boomich underneath. MP9, a lot of ammo dispelled upon his first victim, and that leaves him defenseless or thereabout against Dexter, but Simple's got the redemption. And just like that, it's the man advantage. Bomb gets planted. I take back the man advantage. Excuse me, SDY still alive on 6 HP. My eyes unable to distinguish that. There's the age again, Jason, as Bit will take down Mir, and Na'Vi looking to convert. Have to get another defuse. 2 bomb plants as well, so the AK's definitely made an impact, but they'll be able to get another buy potentially out of this as SDY is left with 6, and the round should be done at this point in time. There's kits for Perfecto, or I should say a kit for Perfecto. And he'll get on this relatively soon. Wait for what, Jason? Go on.
No, they were just taking a long time to hop on that defuse, and I'm like, well, all of a sudden...
Imagine he pops out and kills the diffuser.
Yeah, I was like, if he just peeks up and gets a little lucky... Ooh. I don't think Na'Vi realized that Perfecto, or maybe Perfecto didn't realize he had the only kit. He seemed to be wandering a distance away from the bomb, but does come back to it. Somebody called his attention. And yeah, you're right. The plants are nice. The kills are nice. But Na'Vi have another round in this, and ooh, Team Spirit buying right back up into it. 2 AKs, 3 Galils.
Chopper sneaking out underpass, checking every possible angle, including that of the fence above his head. Spam inside of the smoke. We go back over to Magic and see that he's still just hanging out inside of the kitchen position. Flashes over, Perfecto blinded, but he'll hold his nerve and hold his angle before hearing the flames burst apart at his feet and has to get off the truck. Doesn't want to burn alive. Bit's taking a substantial amount of damage, and they'll know that that's coming from Catwalk. That's going to force them to move, force them to shuffle, but shuffle they shall, and come out on top they will, as Simple gets SDY. It's down to just Dexter's digging himself out of a hole, but Boomich will put him back in it. 6 feet down, in fact, as it goes 10-8. Na'Vi continuing to close the gap.
Yeah, this is now a 6-0 run for Na'Vi. As unlikely as that sounds, if you go back to the first half, they're right back in things, and if you're Team Spirit, you do not want to start letting Na'Vi build into this game. We mentioned they were going to have to take advantage of some of those weaknesses if Na'Vi shows any of them, and they did that for what? $12 rounds, 13 rounds. Bit electronic and simple all in mid, and a quick double. Hands of Spirit, and it's a assertive.
Yeah, very, very much so. These are the rounds they need, just runs and continue to get time. In the former days of Na'Vi, the classic Edward, Zeus, Guardian lineup, where tilting was a big factor. Again, it's a throwback, but going to like 2015 lands, 2016, even into 2017, you'd see them outside. Every other team would be having their break between maps, and they would just be the most raging team. Back into these games is something they've improved on with the newer guys, the younger team coming together.
Yeah, that mental game as well is a pretty hard thing to nail down as a team. Help each other through it. I mean, keeping their calm and carrying as much weight as possible while Bit and Boom. It's now up to 11 kills. Boomich at 9, where both of them were at one point, what, like 0-6? Either of them now contributing in the scoreboard.
To reveal himself, and they'll go back over toward B at this point with 54 seconds. Bit will still cover off on Catwalk, but it's all on Perfecto in the site itself. And there's no guarantee that they're going to commit to this just yet, but with 45 seconds and bomb on that side, I would suggest, Jason, that this is likely where it ends up.
Yeah, you'd think so. Certainly don't have enough of a presence over there to make it a fast rotation. And they're going to be committed. Magic's waiting. Dexter has 2 flashbangs to throw for his teammates. It's all about this entry. Here we go. Dexter launching them out just now. Bit and Perfecto to defend on the other side. Bit's at the pillar, peering towards Catwalk. Now he turns. Good kill. Boomich has gone down. Now he holds Catwalk. Good job from Bit and Dexter. Last one left, 1 versus 3. And that ult is way too valuable to send into its death. We're all tied up, Matt, 10-10. It didn't seem like this was going to be too likely, but Na'Vi have showed up a little bit late, but they're here.
Honestly, the way that some of the rounds in the first half were going, I just thought we were going to have a blowout, and they were going to have to, like, literally reset it between maps.
No, this is good, though. This is great. 8 in a row now for Na'Vi. Pit Watch is on. We're back. The sequel.
It's your favorite show.
My favorite show.
Well, which with 2 M4s, okay, sure, I'll grant it. But the AK is certainly carried over by Perfecto Bit. Electronic, strong against the helmets, as we know. It's like they don't exist.
Assuming this MAC-10 is just going to try and take Catwalk really quick. Quickly try and keep people in mid as much as possible. Fast towards Palace. Simple hears it. He knows they're out. Boomich has one. Oh, Electronic and Bit combined for more. They were so ready for that. Electronic gets the kill in middle. Simple should be able to get a freebie on it. Chopper. He wants a knife though. You could see him consider it. And so quickly, it's all just down to Dexter. And once again, he's got to back away. This time, he's got to find a way to survive for 1 minute and 20 seconds with Simple hunting him down. That is Simple.
That's, you know what, that's almost similar to the 1G, right? Because that was another game that they should have won it right then and there. And then they go on in overtime and lose it. Like, that was Simple's equivalent.
Here you go, set piece out of the A bomb site. Simple's got the first. Boomich hiding in the cubby. Oh, and he's dropped by a very fast-firing Tech-9. Simple's got to back away. A little bit of damage into a 4-on-4, and Navi's going to play the retake. They've got a lot of utility. Molotov, 4 smokes, flashbangs, and 2 HEs to use when they eventually pull the trigger. Although Spirit hasn't committed quite yet.
Simple's certainly committed to an angle at least. Electronic will not get in his way just yet. He'll let Simple take the opening shot before swinging toward the site. Electronic Simple doesn't need that time. Bit's got the kill instead, but Dexter nearly gets 2 back. Nearly gets 2 back as Simple was taking damage before he fired in with the AWP and won the duel. But the rotation from Chopper back toward middle leaves Bit and he in a battle on Catwalk that Bit will win. And Mir, the only one left alive, is Simple and Co. and Perfecto with the nade will take a 2-round lead on the Navi side as they get the defuse.
Oh, this is not good. This is, you gotta be nervous if you're Spirit. That seemed like a pretty decent round for them. Took a while to get in, and Navi came up with a plan. If Spirit's not gonna plant the bomb, Navi talks all the way through it and decides to move on the bomb tap. Good shooting from Simple as well. Bit did a great job in middle. We didn't see his second kill. This one right here. He's very slow and very cautious in middle. I believe he heard that footstep before he turned the corner, was able to find the battle he wanted. Bit's in window. Simple's naded at the bottom of con stairs. He's got an AWP. Molotov to force them out into the open, gives Simple a shot that he can't land. And with that attempt, Navi's going to back away from mid presence.
SDY will also do the same, though, on the other side, as he doesn't want to go all the way through the underpass just yet. Bomb again waits outside of the B apartments, and no pressure on A. And here comes top mid take from the T's. With SDY slowly lurking up, Simple's going to be watching down below the crossfire setup. So even if Simple finds one and they think they can rush it down and trade him out, they'll have the backup of Electronic, who's sitting on the left side, sitting with an M4. There we go. Perfect look at both positions. Simple gets the first. Now the wrap. Magic's going to want to try and sneak. No. Sorry, I meant swing. He is going to sneak. I thought he would go quickly for that kill in return, but now they put a self-smoke out in retreat, and the CTs buy themselves a bit of space, and as a result of that as well, Team Spirit will leave middle and go back through the spawn.
Yeah, they wanted nothing to do with that. Once Simple's op was there, they're like, hell no. We'll just back off. Just chill, bro. Electronic's going to be over in jungle. Boomich is playing retake a ticket. And this time, Spirit can't be slow and calculated. There's 22 seconds and not a lot of utility. Smoke's going to go down. Flashbangs will go over the wall, and they have to get this bomb planted ASAP. Actually, excuse me. No flash comes out, and that's going to cost them. That's going to cost them 2 lives. No smoke, no flashes on the entrance. They try and get clever, and it's backfired. They can't even get the bomb planted, and they might just lose both players after the time. Excuse me, I mean, ooh.
No,
Nope,
you're right.
They're in trouble. I was right.
Yep, you definitely were right. The bomb did not get planted in time. That was about as close as it could be. But they don't lose the players, thankfully. They do stay alive, so the money is not a factor because they keep the guns in some ways.
Oh, no. How has this happened? This is 11-0 run.
Massive, and I think the fact that you actually called a few things and then had to catch yourself just speaks volumes about things that weren't being done that should have been, right? I mean, it seemed like obvious things. Use flashbangs, use utility. It just didn't happen that round.
But that's what makes these matchups to me so weird. Like the CIS teams when they play each other, like I feel like there's so many like small risks being taken with contact plays, with not using utility at certain points, and that's just one of them that we see where it turns out on the bad side. But we've seen a number of times throughout this event, throughout this group stage, where those kind of risks pay off in a big way, and it delivers a huge win.
Boomich then with the M4. Holding out at triple, and they are pushing in. He's going to be aware of that. His teammates give him the call. He swings extra wide. Does get SDY before Dexter got the shot in return. So a decent setup in that regard because they're able to get the trades, and there was nothing going on from mid, from connector, because the smoke was still down, and Mir's able to find the kill. Bits low. Molotov actually pushes him back. If Mir had his gun ready, that would have been a swing and a trade and a done deal. But now he's just going to try and take this into a straight fight. Bomb still down. Tagged again is Bit. He loses half of the 26 HP that he had. And rather than hold from inside of jungle, he wants to get into connector. He wants to close down this angle. Plants will go safely toward the balcony instead and be therefore visible from a swing and a peek by Mir at main. And Bit's going to be well aware of that situation as he already starts looking that direction. But is the question right or is it left in Tetris? Mir goes all the way back around. Smoke on it. Tap as well. This will bait out some shots because he's going to have to put shots toward the site, and that's exactly what Bit wanted. He outplays Mir with his mind, and then the aim gets the job done. Na'Vi find 14 and continue this run.
Yeah, he knew Mir was going to have to respect it. I thought he would have picked up the AWP way earlier. What a great clutch from Bit. And remember, we mentioned a really rough start for him and Boomich, but Bit has found his way back into this game. First, the 4 kill. On the final round of that first half, the 4K on the retake, that was a thing of brilliance, and this clutch is huge as well. He's come alive, and Na'Vi is powered up. Bit's now got 15K.
That was sick. I love it. Forces him to have to shoot the smoke, reveal his exact position. This is a fast round, as already we have 4 kills to report. SDY and Mir are dead on one side, and we tragically report that Bit and Simple have fallen if you're a Na'Vi fan. So, commiserations to those 4. But for 1 minute and 30 seconds, the remaining players, the 6 of them, will carry this on. A nade may change that, though, as Perfecto takes down Magix behind box.
Oh, I mean,
Dexter could do nothing.
Na'Vi just got into the great positions. Boomich is pushed down A ramp. He can see all the way into T-spawn. He's a lot of information, and this is a huge safety net of a position if they go to the A bomb site. Perfecto and ladder room obviously very strong, but Electronic as well pushed into upper B. So he's got an early spotting and a tough position to clear out, and a tough position to know if they get to enter the B bomb site. But for now, it's all up to Perfecto. Looking the wrong way at the wrong time. He's done good damage to both.
1-2 then, as Electronic is low, 14 HP, but able to get in position to catch out the bomb, catch out the immediate kill on Chopper, and then it's just a grenade to get map point from Na'Vi. I did not suspect that we would find ourselves here.
This is so crazy. 13 rounds in a row for Na'Vi out of nowhere. They looked beaten in that first half. They looked so demoralized. All right. Well, Spirit, they need 5 straight to force overtime, and they're going to start it out with a heavy play towards the B bomb site. They don't want mid control. They don't want any presence over at A. And unfortunately, they're going right at Simple's AWP. An adjustment from the Na'Vi defense might deliver a map victory.
Highly possible that it could. Shot from Simple, unsuccessful on the first attempt. He's got support from Perfecto, but that flash actually I think went too far. No, that was Dexter's flash, so it was a good throw from Team Spirit, but the rotation's already in position. The crossfire too strong, and it's down to just poor man Dexter. What a turnaround in that series. What a comeback from Na'Vi. That's more like it.
That's going to be, I think if you're a Spirit after that map, you're scratching your head and you're like, what the hell just happened? They got like just clean sweep out of the server. 14 rounds in a row for Na'Vi to take that map victory after an atrocious start to the game. So fair play to Na'Vi for bouncing back in that fashion. What a great recovery from Bit. Simple delivering all along the way, Electronic delivering all along the way, but the comeback began when Bit and Boom had showed up in the server.
Yeah, absolutely it did. And Bit was massive on it. We talked about it late in the first half, had that flank that came in, looked solid in that situation. Great clutch with that smoke down, but yes, once he started finding kills, once there was some support, once there was a full team, Na'Vi had a full win. They had, I think that was, 14 rounds in a row, we said. Well, that's pretty impressive. We'll send it back over to the panel to break that one down and figure out what the heck went wrong, or what went right, depending on how you look at that game.
Yeah, there's a lot of figuring out we need to do with this one. And I guess the starting point is we did touch on it in the pre-match, Foreign. The fact that Na'Vi can get off to these incredibly slow starts, and it looks like, okay, this is just going to slip away, because they were being absolutely dominated by Spirit at the beginning.
Oh, for sure. I mean, listen, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you absolutely know that one of Na'Vi's favourite pastimes is just giving away Dust 2 and Mirage games for no reason whatsoever. But they also, this is the bizarre thing, it's almost like they do it to get themselves into the game, because as you pointed out, they'll have the slow start, but they never just get rocked 16-5 or something. They always do the comeback. And listen, if they lose, they just lose 16-13 in the most unsatisfying way ever. This time around, the comeback just basically never stopped. So, like, I actually feel as though it was Spirit that kind of underwhelmed me in this match. Like, Na'Vi certainly had a terrible beginning, but everything was going perfect for Spirit. Like, Dexter's on fire, you open up the game super strong, everything's basically in your control, and then after that, nothing. It's like no one's shooting anyone in the server.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it's when the going gets tough, right? Spirit just kind of slowed down Vendetta. They were the ones that just said, okay, we can't match this anymore. And I needed to see like a plan B and a plan C that wasn't there.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to watch, because normally an indicator of whether or not you're going to get a good version of Spirit or not is A, how well Dexter does, and two, or B, how well Mir does and how well he gets off to a start. And in this one, I think Mir was at 10-1, something to that effect. Dexter right behind him. Mir ends the game with 12 frags. But obviously, like, when Bit switched on, power went out in Mir's house, apparently, because he just disappeared completely. Dexter did his, the most he could, trying to kind of glue stuff back together, but Spirit just completely fell apart over on that T side. But that's kind of the nature of Na'Vi. They're a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde team in that sense, but instead of having it from game to game, it's just half to half, and it's, I guess, somewhat consistent with them delivering very lackluster T sides. The T sides they get is often off of individual prowess, and then they just have a banger of a CT side. And that's something that they've kind of built their, I guess you can't call it necessarily a dynasty on, but that's what they've built their success on. Extremely good CT sides.
But that for me is a massive problem, right? Like, T side, you would think with the players you've got, you can maneuver them around and play as you want to find extra success in here. But we get all these really scary, close games where potentially, right, had Na'Vi just had a semi-decent half on the T side, it should have been like a stomp here. We should have been looking like maybe, I don't know, 16-4, 16-6 kind of scoreline, Duncan.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Na'Vi have all these like really unsatisfying, underwhelming losses that are close, because they're the team where if they're on T side of a map and it's 14-14, like, you literally, mate, like, you'd need a silkworm's thread to get inside your arsehole at that point in time. It's fucking nothing there, is there? You know it's done. So, like, I think that's one of the things that tells me that they're still a flawed team. Is on CT side, they can have a performance like this, where they literally, across the board, out-damage, out-frag the people from Spirit, who are a very skilled team, by the way, So you think to yourself, yeah, you've made the game easy for yourself. You don't need as many T rounds. But it's because on CT side, another part of it is they basically just let Simple effectively pretend this is an FPL pod. Like, he doesn't even play his spot sometimes. He just goes wherever he needs on the map to create chaos and get all the fights he wants. So it's not, you're not able to do basically what people back in the old Nico spots days used to do, which is you find out what site Nico's on CT side cash, you just rotate to the other bomb site. Like, you can't do that against Simple. So while on the one hand it's a very like sort of like ingenious, I'd say, band-aid to the flaws they have as a team, in some ways, as we were alluding to, it does also then expose their problems on T side, in my opinion, because they should be a lot better, and especially in terms of consistency. Like, you've got to be able to string together 4 or 5 T rounds in a row if you want to win big tournaments.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, where the lack of trophies are there for the Na'Vi side. But at least they've done well for us now on taking Mirage, because we did question the pick coming into it, right? And okay, still we talk about the T side not being great. This string of 14 rounds in a row for them to take the win was hugely powerful here. Now we got to look at understanding what Spirit could be doing better when it comes to this, because when you're in the driving seat that far, Vendetta, like, you shouldn't be taking your foot off the gas, and they know which kind of team they're going up at, especially if you're going to give Na'Vi a chance to come in.
Yeah, no, this has to feel like a bit of a nightmare scenario for Team Spirit, because when you get that far ahead as you've done, yeah, you should be able to close it out, even though maybe the pace changes a little bit. Maybe you're not as crisp as you were to start things off, but you've gotten yourself into as good of a lead that you feel like you should be able to eke out a win at the very least. But they end up the entire T side not picking up a single round. Going into Overpass, then I was thinking to myself, like, okay, with a great start that Dexter had, he's going to feel fantastic going into a map like Overpass, individually. But right now, I think just taking a battering for 14 rounds in a row is going to remove any sort of positive thinking that you had initially.
And now we're going to go into the warmed up version of Na'Vi, right? The ones that are fueled up and fired up and ready to go in it. And when we look at Mirage and we speak about the differences we saw with Na'Vi even picking into this, was kind of like, okay, look, they could have gone into the nuke as an example. Now we go on to Overpass, where we also questioned that this actually used to be a great map for Na'Vi, but more recently, we've not seen it find them that much success. Yet I actually felt like it could have been a map they would pick into at one stage, Duncan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially, by the way, back in the Zeus days, this was a fabulous map for them. And even if you go to later last year, it was one they would get key wins on. I'll even give you a stat. If you hear this, they should be one of the best teams in the world on it. Just go on the stats page that everyone uses and look up Simple just on Overpass in the last 3 months. He literally breaks all the meters where it says like good or whatever. They're just right all at the very right-hand side. And he averages a 1.49 HLTV rating on the map. So if you're not literally just gods on the map, like, what are you doing on this one? Because the problem is, of all the maps that should expose the problems of the RVT side, it's got to be Overpass. Like, it is a slow map. It is one that's about push and pull, tension. So I feel as though it's one that, like, listen, Simple could be amazing on this map. Some of the others, I have my questions about.
Yeah, and this is one thing as well, when it comes to the Overpass CT side, that should be something that plays into Na'Vi's strengths even further, right, Ben?
Yeah, you'd imagine so. And it feels like you could go into most maps and say that Na'Vi are going to be able to deliver a really solid CT side. So I'm not really too worried about that. Again, they can play off of their strengths, again, allowing Simple to kind of just do whatever he wants in terms of where he wants to try to get early picks is going to be very, very tough to deal with. There's not a whole lot of information that you can build up as a T side early on in a round before you actually run into a potential up of Simple. So it's going to be difficult for Spirit to kind of deal with that. But again, still going to have massive questions about their T side. I think Spirit, again, one of those teams that have a very set way of playing Overpass, but they're very efficient with it on their T side. And I don't really see that much ingenuity or creativity coming out from Na'Vi's end. Most teams kind of default into going about their T side on Overpass the same way. If you move towards A, it's going to be this like slow crawl that NIP popularized, or it's going to be basically Spirit's B execute that you do off of spawns, and that's more or less it. So if that becomes too stale and too easy for Spirit to read, then yeah, they could potentially bring themselves back into the series. But it's always going to be a question mark when we talk about Na'Vi and their T sides.
Now, another question mark we had regarding Na'Vi was what Electronic would be able to do, right? Not maybe having the best start to the year so far, coming into the second half now, certainly would need to show up. Well, at least in this game, he has been able to, but it's how else we can harness that for these guys if they want to find the success, right?
He's also a player where if he is on his game, literally all these problems we're talking about on the T side, they start to go away because he's such a fabulous entry player. Like, everyone knows his mechanics and absolutely nuts with the AK. So if he is actually hitting his shots and he's in position where his timing's correct, as you saw in that DreamHack final against Gambit, he can make the other teams look absolutely silly before Simple even gets on the board. So for me, he's one of the players where obviously it's always going to be an X factor because it's him and Simple and the big names. But against a team like Spirit, who I actually consider, despite map 1, to be the more skilled team sort of man for man, you need another player to get online.
And that other player also alongside them was Bit, because he started off so bad. It was a 0-7 1 point. I think Moses and Sadikis were pointing out. And then he finds his form again. And he's a player right now that sometimes I feel like he's got great potential. We know he's playing a ton of FPL in it, but he needs maybe a smarter brain when it comes to actually find focus throughout these games then.
Well, I mean, some of those things are going to come with experience because in the grand scheme of things, he's still a fairly new player. Obviously not just on the pro scene, but again, in Na'Vi as well. And just judging from Navi's past as well, might not be the easiest team to incorporate yourself into. There's a lot of strong voices. So I give it the benefit of the doubt in that sense. And I think he's going to grow as a player the longer he stays on this team. What I think is an actual really big upside to him is the fact that he has been in multiple clutch scenarios now over the last couple of months for this team. And he's actually done really well for himself.
Yes.
You know, whether it is actually just through raw mechanics and whatnot, he's still able to win out the rounds. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what you want if you're Na'Vi. So we saw it here as well. That's kind of how he turned his performance around as well. You said he started 0-7. I think he was at 1-11 at one point as well. And he ends up the game, you know, with positive KD and actually having significant impact with winning out multiple clutch rounds for the team. And that's something that Na'Vi didn't necessarily have unless it was electronic or simple in that situation.
Now, going into Overpass and start to gear ourselves and get ready for it, what are we looking for from Spirit here? Because not only is it their pick, right, but they're not a bad team on it at all, but they now need to be able to get themselves out of the hole that is what they've just dealt with on Mirage, because they've probably been looking at this and thinking, okay, look, that's our 2-0 chance gone.
Yeah, this is a team that has beaten Virtus Pro on this map, and if you know that's one of the maps that Virtus Pro is usually pretty strong on stylistically, is on both sides. So, to me, I certainly think if you're Spirit, it's not over. This is your map pick. Like, that was their map pick. Sure, psychologically, there is a wound that you carry over from map 1 there. You do feel like, well, this could be our chance for 2-0. This could be the end of the season. But if you're going to be a top team, you already got to be able to like reset mentally, as it was. So if I were them, I would just take heart in the fact that Na'Vi will always give you a chance in theory. So you're never fully out the series. If you win this one, it's 1-1. You go to Dust 2. Which, by the way, everyone was it Dust 2? Was the third one? Yeah. By the way, everyone would love to see that anyway.
Nuke.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Nuke. Yes. In that case, I'm not sure actually if you get to that one because that one's probably more 50-50. But if I'm the guys from Spirit, we picked this map. This is a map we want to play. So I actually fully expect them to come back and give a really strong performance.
Well, we certainly do want to see if they can be able to fight back on it. When we look at this and look at some of the stats over the last few months, they disappeared from our screen, so I'll ignore that.
Why was that like that? Graphics were in between, and it was like you versus him for the results.
Yeah, it was like a player comparison between me and Vex.
Me and Vendetta, you know, all these games under our belt.
It's gonna be a lot of red numbers on both of our sides.
Yeah, we definitely would be hitting those kind of shots like some of these guys are doing. But no, more importantly is I wonder what will happen if Na'Vi can just actually keep this form, keep this motivation going when it comes into this map, because they had the slow start already. Now it should be just all going forward. And personally, and I'm probably very biased in this, but I just want to get this Na'Vi Gambit matchup to happen again. You know, I want to get this game out of the way then.
I mean, that's fair, and that's probably how Na'Vi feels as well, that Spirit are just kind of, you know, a temporary obstacle before they kind of get to face the final boss of their RMR. But you can't take Spirit too lightly. I think what Duncan says as well, like, Spirit knows, even though they're going to have some mental scars from how Mirage ended out, they're going into their own map pick. It's a map that they've been good on for a long period of time, and it's a spot where they can play explosive. Even if you know and have a good read on what Spirit are doing, they're still going to be tough to deal with. Like, there's a reason why pretty much most T sides actually copy their B execute, because it's just well thought out, extremely difficult to deal with. And, you know, if you make one misstep in that entire process, you're going to end up losing rounds. So Spirit, absolutely nothing to scoff at for Na'Vi. They can't think to themselves like, okay, we managed to bring it back now, that they can go on autopilot and expect the same result.
Now, when it comes to the tactical side of things, obviously we've already touched on the woes that is what Na'Vi has to offer in here, but how would you rate the tactical side of Spirit being able to play into a map like Overpass, Duncan?
That's the tough part, because I'm not actually like a huge fan of the system that Spirit run. I think it makes sense for the players they have, and it can be effective, but I do think they live or die on their firepower. So the tough thing for me is I don't look at Overpass and also think this is a great map for these guys. Like, for example, they don't have the stylistic strength that like Virtus Pro does on T-side of this map. I also do think, though, it's not like Na'Vi's going to force you to. I think the tough thing for me with Spirit is they are just exactly what they look like. They're a team with a bunch of really skilled players, a bunch of individually very good players. And if those players can sort of go off individually, but somehow it gets coherent, it doesn't even have to be a total team effort, just gets coherent in how they play, they've got a chance to win. But the thing that depresses me for this particular map is that's not what I saw in the first map. Like, as we were talking about, like the way they slowed down on their T side, that was a bit depressing actually. Like, if anything, I would have just brute forced it and tried to just smash the game wide open and just win off shooting people in the head. So I hope on this map, since it can be a map that can fall into playing very slow, I hope they keep the tempo up.
And who do you think we're relying on in this game for Spirit especially then to bring them these numbers and not slow down in any way?
I think one thing, okay, so the obvious answer is obviously Mir. He can't have an opening to the game like he did in Mirage and then just completely disappear off the face of the server. But I think the most consistent performer that you want to look for and the one you want to be able to have consistent impact in rounds is Dexter. And that's simply because he's the AWP player.
Yes.
The fact that he's going to be able to potentially have control over that A site more or less by himself, that's going to give you a lot of leeway and a lot of freedom to kind of set up for potential B pops and things like that Navi might have in store. And that just makes the entire CT side a completely different game for you. So if he's able to get early picks, or at least not basically give up map control to Navi too easily, then yeah, no, it's gonna be tough for Navi and a great situation to find yourself in if you're Spirit.
Duncan, you said one thing that I found interesting is that you said, like, pound for pound, the players on Spirit right now probably the better skilled as you look at a 5. How would you say it matches up though when you do have an Electronic and Simple online? Is it now, does it sway back into the Navi favor?
Yeah, I would say overall, especially because one of the things that I actually think is so sad about the fact that Navi haven't been able to be the clear-cut #1 team with Electronic and Simple is there's basically no role overlap. Like, they're actually two players. It's like when Nico and Guardian played together. It's like there's zero role overlap. Like, if we're both on form, we can actually both be superstars in the same game. So to me, when you have a setup like that, that's what makes them really exciting. Whereas to me, the Spirit bunch, like a bunch of those players could probably play each other's role. Like, it's more of like a little bit of a mixed bag. It's more like herding cats in that team.
No, I would say actually that's quite an interesting point, right? Because you look at the success, you say you've got Simple and Electronic on one team, and how many times they've been just top 5 in the world of players and dominance they've been able to have, but yet we're still sat here waiting for them to find their form while they've actually been overtaken by other CIS teams, which I didn't think we'd ever even talk about if you go back a couple of years, Ben.
No, I mean, usually history would tell you that if any newcomer from the CIS region would do well, Navi would be very quick to kind of snap up those players and go about their day. That hasn't happened in this instance. So it's uncharted territory for Navi. But again, you know, I think the iteration that they have now compared to the old lineup with Flamey, I think they're better off now. I think there's more room to grow for a player like Bit than potentially what Flamey had in him. I think it's more of a far cry to expect Flamey to get back into, let's say, 2016 mode. Than it is for Bit to develop into something that's going to be more consistent and more beneficial for Navi.
And if I'm right as well, right, they added Munacy from the junior lineup to the roster here for the RMRs, where, for example, Flamey's not on there at all now. I
mean, we talked about this with the talent in the CIS region and how it's kind of tough to have your spot, and Munacy is probably one of those players who is in a bit of a pickle because obviously he's a fantastic offer and a great talent, but you know, nobody's going to replace Simple in Navi. That's just not happening. So then you might end up in a situation where you bring in a talent like him into the lineup, but now you're starting to get role clashes potentially, or you're putting him in a spot where he's not going to necessarily be able to fully utilize the talent that everybody spotted in him. So it's a weird one for a lot of the talents, but who knows? You know, maybe he's still young. He can still develop into becoming a fantastic rifler as well, to the point where he's going to be too good for Navi not to utilize him.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's waiting. They've been putting the development time into him, and certainly it could be interesting to see how it all goes, depending on what the rest of the team will do. And maybe also, like, we don't know if Bit's position's solidified. I feel like he's doing a good enough job, but he's still not maybe all the way there yet. But we'll see how he does in this game as well. It's time for us to get into Overpass. Finally, time for us to get back with Sadakis and Moses to bring us the rest of the game.
Yeah, rest of the game indeed. Thank you very much, guys, as we look forward to seeing Overpass from Na'Vi. We talk but yet not seeing it in their pool. Which is exactly the case here. And we'll see Electronic getting aggressive on the pistol round, but shut down by Mirrors. He spots out 3 at short. Now, that's a bit of information, and already we're seeing a bit of a response to that from Na'Vi as they rotate out of A early.
They're all ready to go, and through Monster is the final attack. Molotov misses barrels. That's actually huge. They'll have to check that, but a great shot from Dexter. Do they still want to move forward? They still don't know the toxic barrels are clear, but they can assume it. Dexter with another deadly headshot. And Simple and Boomich, they've fallen back to 8. They've just Team Spirit slow playing the pistol.
So 3-on-2, Simple wins, but that bomb gets dropped. And you're right, no one was at the barrel's position, but they still had to give it some consideration. As Simple works toward the site. Actually speeds it up. I thought he was going to walk the whole way just because it was a fake plant. He's not really sure what's going on. There's time, but he just takes that second step knowing he's close enough to catch the mountain. Absolutely nails the shot. So suddenly, just like that, Simple turns the round himself. All 3 of the remaining kills. What was a 2-on-3? He does the work on his own. Certainly, it does help that his teammates there just for that presence and, I guess, insecurity from the T side. But yeah, works out very well as Na'Vi. Now, with their 3rd of 3 pistols so far in this series, they converted one of the 2, and it was not the opening one on Mirage. So this time they'll try and do one better as we start this off. You got a Formula 1 car going on there?
Yeah, a bit of a...
Sounds about as terrible as a Renault in the Turbo era.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize for that real quick. A bit of a ritual household. Nade is out towards the top of the stairs. Yeah, I want to touch on that pistol run really quick for one moment, because they mentioned it, Duncan mentioned it on the desk. They had complete control of the site, and that
There's a family on the A site trying to evade at the top of this. Electronic working out as well, and it'll work so far so good. Needed to get the trade though, but Dexter came out from behind the bomb box. They weren't anticipating that, and Electronic jumping and running and gunning, but can't get it done. And just like that, Spirit do respond to take the eco.
I cannot believe
force buy, I suppose.
Yeah, I can't believe they were able to win that round. Like the initial kill is all well and good, but that retake seemed like it was going to be just fine until Spirit doubles up on Bank.
Simple's able to at least get one down.
Listen, fair play. Electronic just spammed one.
Yeah, that works out. It's Electronic that got the kill, excuse me, as Simple actually fell at the hands of Chopper, and they'll slow things down a little bit, but that's a good kill to get early on. And 10 still to play with, and they haven't really got any map control